Good evening, welcome back to my channel. Finally starting to warm up here in Alberta. It is 0 degrees Celsius or about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Basically have a bunch of projects I put on hold because of the weather. Most of them have to do with the stove. It's pretty hard to work on a stove when it's going. And some of you know I'm kind of a scrap wood, scrap metal kind of guy. I probably learned all that stuff from my dad, using bits and pieces of scrap metal, scrap wood to build whatever I need. It's pretty rare I ever have to go to a store. So if you look at this stove, for example, this brace here came from an IKEA bed. These legs are a bed frame, 2-gallon steel barrel, sheet metal door that I fabbed up. I got the stovepipe here, it's all joined together with soup cans, hose clamps. So I got to do some work on the stove. This elbow here is the only thing I think I bought from the store. Runs out here. And this stovepipe used to come straight out, and I had problems with the wind blowing straight down the stovepipe, smoking out my shed here, so I put this can on the end, made a little elbow. Here's that wooden box I built. So here's one of my scrap metal bins. Just a bunch of odds and ends I use to build my projects with. Over here I have all these margarine containers full of screws, washers, nuts and bolts, odds and ends. So my first project is to take this elbow for my stovepipe. I found this aluminum baking pie plate, and I want to mount this like so to keep any snow and rain from getting down my stovepipe. I also want to replace this latch. It's really hot, just too short. Another project I was working on is making some improvements to my stove at my second camp. I made some temporary legs using some scrap metal from my base camp, and whenever I was adding wood to it, it was very wobbly and unstable. So I built 3 legs out of a bed frame, and that will bolt onto the bottom of my stove. I also have some soup cans and some hose clamps, and these will go onto the stovepipe where they join together, making it more stable. I built this little screwdriver that will stay at my camp for tightening the hose clamps. I also have some scrap sheet metal, and I want to build a box that will mount onto the front of the stove. This will increase the capacity of my stove, and I won't have to cut the firewood in such small pieces. I can have longer pieces of wood and just keep feeding it almost like a rocket stove. I just have to remember to bring out my tape measure so I can measure the opening of this stove. And of course, I also made this table for my wife. It's been a very busy day.